Supergirl number 4, written by Michael Green and Mike Johnson, art by Mahmoud Asrar. We left off last issue with a battle against a goo creature named the Brain. Supergirl found her ship, but was disabled by kryptonite by Mr. Tycho. This issue picks up just kind of showing, hey, what actually managed to survive that fight that tore apart half the ship. And we see Supergirl has been stripped of her Kryptonian outfit, and they're running tests on it, and it's basically completely indestructible. And Tycho is like, wow, I could do so much with that. Also, what happened to my goo creature called the Brain? And his assistant, I think Miss Thorne is her name, is like, oh, it's survived, it's recovered, it's all good. And he's like, cool, I'm glad I could fight against a teenage girl. I'd be pissed if it couldn't. Anyway, I think she'll behave from now on, as we cut to Kara being held in a stasis chamber tube thing, and also being held next to kryptonite. So all she can feel, despite being unable to scream or move or do anything, is just searing pain throughout her body. And as Tycho walks away, we see one of the guards standing over her, remorse on his face. So he walks over to one of the other fellow guards, and he's like, oh, hey, Jacobs, I heard what happened during your fight with Supergirl. You here to get some revenge on her? And Jacobs just slams the guard's face into the wall, enters in the door, and disables the stasis tube. And he's like, look, I'm sorry. I thought that Tycho was like a benevolent genius, but as it turns out, he's one of those dick geniuses. So I'm going to get you out of here because this is not okay. And Supergirl's like, man, I wish I could understand what it is he's saying. I hope he's not here to finish the job. So he walks her out, and she manages to put together that he's helping her. But as they round the corner to the evac pods, Tycho's standing there with a full, firing squad. And he's like, hi, Jacobs. Look, I'm all for the can-do attitude, and you really got some spunk, but you're kind of trying to screw over my plans, and frankly, that's not going to fly. Henderson, kill Mr. Jacobs. And Jacobs is shot, and Supergirl's like, you killed the man, in her own language. You killed the man that was trying to help me. You are truly evil. And she's still super depowered, but she's, getting a little better. And Tycho's like, cool. Can we take care of her before she gets her powers back? And Henderson managed to slam the butt of his gun against Supergirl and starts trying to fight him. But then she's like, wait a minute, hold on. There's some sun pouring through that window. I'm feeling pretty good. So she snaps Henderson's arm. They start firing bullets at her. They're about to start firing bullets, and then Tycho's like, whoa, hold on. She's not bulletproof yet. I need her alive. And so she takes that opportunity to just run through all of them. Tycho, he manages to get up, and he's like, hey, Miss Thorne, our visitor's loose. Can you please put the station on lockdown? Thank you. And also asks her to secure the artifact. So Supergirl's just running through this station. She blasts through every door. When some guards finally catch up with where she went to, which was the lab, they talk to one of the scientists who's down on the ground. He's like, whoa, what was she doing here? And she's like, she took her clothes back. And so we see her back in her Supergirl outfit. And she's now completely, invulnerable. She's back to nearly full strength. She's just knocking heads, taking names. One of them puts the gun up, says uncle, and she gets glowy eyes. So God only hoping what happened to that guy. And finally we cut to Tycho, and he's like, can someone just show me where Supergirl is? And then she comes bursting through the ground into Tycho's room. And before she can do anything to Tycho, he pulls out the red crystal thing that we saw from a few issues ago. And Supergirl's like, oh, that's a sunstone. That records messages. My father must have put that to give me a message to tell me what the hell is going on. I need that. I need to hear what's on that. And Tycho's like, all right, I can tell you need this. I can tell you want this. I will break it into a million pieces unless you and I can make a deal here. So, all I want is for you to have this back. I just want a single drop of your blood. Cool? And he's much douchier about that the whole way through, but he's like, that's the deal, or else I'll crush this into a million pieces. Supergirl, of course, can't understand any of this, but she doesn't like his tone, so she heat visions a giant hole right at his feet in a display of intimidation, and Tyson's like, ha, nice shot, but you missed. And then the assistant Thorne is over at the console's like, she didn't miss, sir. She hit the central core of our entire station. And he's just like, how could she possibly have known that? He's like, oh, well, bye. Huge explosion happens. As Tycho falls down to the ground, Supergirl grabs the Sunstone, and despite her knowing that he doesn't understand the language, she hopes that he'll pick up on her tone. She just tells him, do not come after me again. As she zooms off the exploding ship, everyone's evacuating, and Supergirl makes note of that. She's like, oh my god, that man who called himself my little baby cousin, he's right. I truly am like a super weapon. So many people could have died. Luckily, they're all getting off on these evacuation pods, but I really could have caused some damage there. And then we see Tycho was just at the control panel the whole way to the end, and he explodes and seemingly dies. We cut back to Supergirl. She's looking at the Sunstone. It's gotten damaged in the crash, and she's like, I need a place to watch this. I could ask the guy who was, Superman. I'm not going to beat around the bush on that, but I could ask Superman, but how do I know I can trust him? What if I just try flying back home? And she stares off into space, and that's where we leave that. But we do cut to later elsewhere. Tycho is waking up. He has been severely burned. He pretty much should not be alive in any way because he is nothing but a head and like the upper half of a torso. But he's been bonded to the brain goo monster from before in order to survive. And he looks over at one of the guards who is keeping watch over him, and he's like, hey guard, hey, come here. You got some blood on your outfit. Is that your blood? And he's like, no sir, I think it came from the girl. He's like, cool, I've won. And that's where we leave off, with him snickering that he won. I liked it. I think it's a solid wrap up to the Tycho thing. I'm glad that he wasn't like a major he still could be a major long-term villain now. He's got superpowers, but I'm glad that the douchey trillionaire, I think he said he was. I'm glad that didn't stick around for too long. I'm glad that we moved on to a better, bigger threat, and Supergirl's just out of there for now. Probably going back to Earth. So no, I'm happy with where it's ended up. Art-wise, I like it. There's one or two panels that are kind of iffy, especially in the middle of some of the fight scenes here, but for the most part, it's all very solid and very good at conveying what it's trying to convey. I'm going to give this one a 7. I think it's a well-done arc. My only critique in terms of writing is the fact of, like, everyone is just expected to kind of understand everybody else. It's like, oh, I know you can't understand that I'm rescuing you, but I hope that you understand that I'm rescuing you. Is he rescuing me? Like, okay, yeah, I like the idea that Supergirl can't understand the stuff, but you're just beating around the bush where you want her to be able to understand. So just get her there. Give her the Sunstone, whatever it is that's going to teach her how to speak English. But that's minor in comparison to the arc as a whole. So 7 for Supergirl, number 4.